There we go. Hey guys, Happy New Year. Doing another Q&A with Jim and Jim, but like I always try to say, it's not just us blabbing on. That's why we have everybody here. This is a community. We're all going to kind of learn from each other, latest and greatest on what's going on and what's working, what's not working, all that kind of stuff. So if you're on here, cool. If you can turn your camera on, it's kind of the point. We're all kind of interacting, and if you want to lurk and be in the background, knock yourself out. But if you made the time and effort to be on here, cool. Turn the camera on. I think we'd all appreciate that. So, Jim, proud of you. You made your AI background image. Good job.
Not perfect, but it's close enough.
Who cares? That's the whole point. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just got to play. That's
My third iteration. I made one. I didn't like it. I made another. I added a few words to it. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get the company name in there. And I'm like, okay. And I finally said, you know what? Enough's enough. It looks close enough for me. So
yeah, it actually spelled things correctly. That's always the hard part, is having it spell things correctly.
I had to type it twice. So you know, but so
Well,
what? Anybody got a good New Year's resolution for 2025?
Find some properties to acquire.
Always a good one. We just had a breakfast meeting this morning talking about rates, and we're in certain markets, Jim. I know you and I talked about it before, where people are just following that green door model and driving rates to the freaking toilet. I mean, I got a 5x10 in Ohio going for $17 a month. I'm like, oh. And we're 97% occupied. I said to my partner, I said, raise the damn rates. Well, everybody else is I said we have 1 unit left. Raise the damn rates so then we can start doing rate increases.
now, are you following along with like the big boys and then doing the rate increases like month 3, 4 kind of a thing?
No,
Or
we're really not. We haven't tried that route. I mean, this is one of the markets we're looking at right now because it's low, but I don't want to be that way. I mean, we're still trying to stick with our, after month 7 for our first rate increase. But I told Shane, I said we either do low rates and no discounts, or do a decent rate with a longer discount possible. I said, I don't care if we do 4 months at 33% off. I don't care. I just don't want to give away the farm. And then we talked about, that's why I invited Warren on this one. Yeah,
yeah.
because the guy was complaining about a rate increase, and I looked at his unit, and it was a unit where we have 25 of the 10x10s, and his unit in the rankings ranks third. So he's always going to be top of the echelon. And I said, we tried to explain it. I said, well, it's the same unit. And he goes, well, I'll just move to another one. I'm like, okay, you can, but then you got to come out and move your stuff. Why don't it's like, they don't understand the value. And I think that's where, as we're looking at 2025 and rates are still kind of, teetering on the lower end, if you can get any value. I know I was talking to Darren Kelly from Rightmove this morning, some of the things he's doing with some of the add-ons, and just anything you can do. And for me, Veritech is a huge one, or value pricing, where we can get a little bit more for that next 10x10 because it's closer to the gate or buy the light or whatever. And Warren, I mean, what kind of results were you seeing in Q4 for across your platform? Because I know you got a lot of people on it.
Yeah, yeah. So we're seeing a couple of things that I think are worth taking note of. And I will preface it by saying, we really are seeing two very different philosophies out there. There are those who will emulate and copy the REITs with some very low rates because they feel they have to. And there are companies that just simply won't play that game. Either can be successful. It depends on your market and what you're seeing. That said, one of the things that some of our operators are now experimenting with, and they're having actually pretty good success with it. They will do a rate lock. So for the value pricing, as you know, right, you have multiple rates for the same size units. Okay, good, better, best. On their websites, they are now offering like a 12-month or maybe even longer rate lock associated with, let's call it the deluxe or the most expensive of the 3 rates. A shorter rate lock with the middle, and they will indicate that the low rate is a promotional rate and it's only guaranteed for 3 or 4 months or whatever. And that accomplishes a couple of things in our mind. number one, it gets the communication better in terms of the expectation for the customer. So one of the things that we've seen that really annoys customers, and I'll get into the monetary side of the stuff in a moment, but when rates are drastically reduced, call it 60, 70, 80% for move-in, a lot of people who are moving in don't truly know a lot about self-storage. And when they get hit with an unexpected doubling of the rent in 3 months, they're shocked and they're not happy. And so part of the question is, if you feel the need to compete with the REITs, which we understand, we try to say, communicate it as well as possible, even if it's to the extent that you have some, if you have a store manager, something in laminated plastic that you put in front of them, which kind of highlights the fact that their rates may be a 3 or 4 month promotion. Because what the REITs are doing, it's nothing that the industry hasn't done for a long time. The industry has long given 50 or 75% off for 3 months. But typically it's communicated very clearly on the website, and that's not what's going on these days. So, you know, what we're seeing is any way that if you do play that game, to communicate the fact that the lowered rate is temporary, and then you, kind of like what Jim was saying, you do something different with the more convenient, valuable units. And that seems to be working quite well. We, you know, again,
Warren, I do have a question for you. One of the things you and I talked about before, and I know we've talked with Go Local and a couple of other partners that use you guys. We really want to figure out how to work with the software and the website and you guys at all three parts of the equation, and only have the discounts show on the upgraded units. So if I have a unit that say 50% the first full 2 months, but I only want it to appear on my deluxe unit or my best value unit, not the standard one. I know we've talked about that back and forth, and there's been some conversations about that. What are your thoughts, or where do you see that going for the industry?
I think it is a question of what the PMSs are going to support. So I would say if the PMSs enhance their systems to make it more flexible to differentiate promotions based on unit group, and some do better than others right now. You know, I don't want to say, I don't want to lump them all together, and I don't want to, you know, I don't want to say any misleading statements about PMSs, so I'm just going to make a general comment, because you should all look at it, and I know that switching PMSs is not easy. But to the extent that the operators, you, can put pressure on the PMSs so that they are aware that you would like to be able to do differential promotions by price tier, that's what will lead the charge, not us. You know, we can talk to the PMSs all day, but they will respond to the operators more. And so we actually are working with a PMS right now where we're going to be rolling out a capability to have promotions implemented through our system quite shortly. It's something we've been trying to do for a long time, but the PMSs move slowly. And so my guess is right now, once we unveil this with one of the PMSs, the others will be more motivated to do something, because for them, they don't want to lose business, that is your business, because they don't support a feature in our system that another PMS does. And so that's kind of changed a lot over the last 10 years.
I just think the value pricing and you know, Jim Ross, are you using value pricing anywhere? Because we're seeing about 40%, depending on the property, it's 40% uptick of people. And Warren, the thing you and I talked about before, it's amazing how many people do the upgrades online themselves without ever talking to a manager.
Yeah, yeah. And what I will add to that, and we're not experts on this, but how you the design of your website will have an impact on your upgrade rates. And maybe even the poorest website designs will still get upgrade rates of 20%. But a well-designed website with the right colors, the use of words, the right size font, all of that, you might get upgrade rates of 35, 45, 55%, in part because the website itself is making it more likely that people are going to choose the middle or the most expensive, the deluxe option.
Warren, I'm sharing my screen. We just changed our verbiage on ours and
Yep.
put more meat in the body to tell people why. And we're seeing the best value one getting picked more because it's A, it's in the middle, B, it's highlighted, and B, convenient location. I love the termination, the definitions we put on there for different people. And again, if you can get from a 45 to a 56 at $11, this is a small unit, 5x10, $11 variance on a small unit using this system, and you're getting 40% or 48 or whatever percentage is of upgraded rentals per month, that just adds value to your portfolio. You're even one property, it adds value to it. So I think having some of these things, that's why I was kind of intrigued to make sure you kind of join us and talk about these things, because I really think having this here is a huge plus.
Yep. And let me point out, Jim, if you don't mind bringing that back up,
Yeah.
I just want to point out two things that you're doing that we really like. And this way, to the extent that others are thinking about their own websites, I just kind of want to point this out.
Good.
Number one, when you look at this pop-up, I would say that everybody's eyes get drawn to the best value because of the way the coloration is done. And you can choose the deluxe or standard, but you're moving from best value to standard versus looking at, all of the three and deciding what to do. So your eye anchors on best value in this situation, and that's almost like your starting point. And that's going to result in a much higher upgrade. Like when we did work in the hotel industry, we found that if somebody called in, and this is especially true for Vegas hotels. If you started with great, our best room, view of the strip, and then you work your way down, your take rate on the upper floor view rooms would be higher than if you started at the bottom and said, great, our least expensive room is, 89, and then we go to this and go to that. In that same way, if you're anchoring on the middle, your upgrade rate is going to be higher. The other thing that I want to point out on this one that I happen to really like, if you look at the bottom, look at the message on the deluxe. Perfect if you visit your unit often, best value, best for moving small loads, and then best when you rarely visit your unit. It's a customer-centric message. Beyond just talking about the location, which is the top messages, this gives something for the customer to anchor on, and they can better understand, yeah, I fit that category. I'm going to be going in there twice a week, so maybe it is worth $11 or $6 more, whatever. So I kind of just want to point that out because not all websites have these elements to it, and that's why I kind of like this part. So, all right.
I have a question on that same thought. I would look at that and I would start with the high, because I read into best location, easy access, convenient. And the other one, I get all that for only $6 more to me. And I would start with the highest and then go down. I like the colors and the feel, but a lot of times, like I said, you start at the higher price, but not here's the golden, it's next to the front door. You get coffee every time you show up, whatever, you know what I mean? A little bit overkill, but I would go left, but that's where my eye read.
And that's
again, Brian, it's all different for everybody. I mean, we all look at and we all talk about. That's the one thing I love about our industry. We all share each other. I talked to Anthony last week, and this person, who's doing what, and I borrowed this from somebody else, and again, we track it every week. And I can tell you, last month, if I was to look last month, hold on, I'll tell you here.
I definitely like the word best value.
Yep. We have one client of ours they use the terminology bronze, silver, and gold because it's award self-storage. I mean, right? So all of these things you can kind of play on. I don't know that there's a right or wrong. Larger companies are better able to experiment than smaller companies because then they can actually do A/B testing.
Testing.
So Brian, this is online, right? This is strictly online rentals. Last one, they had 79 on rentals. 26% of them took the upgraded on the protection plans, and 23 out of 71, 32.39% took the upgraded rental rates.
Good.
And that was just online last month. So I mean, and again, some of these ones are popping up, but but tracking this stuff, and Warren knows, and most people by now know I'm a huge data geek, and I love tracking numbers. And I've been tweaking with mine left and right, trying to figure it out. And again, it's amazing what works in one market doesn't work in another market, even down the street from each other. So we're trying to always, looking at that. And, Anthony, I think you're using value pricing now, aren't you, bud?
That's why I was just keeping my quiet and my peace. Since you introduced us to Warren, and then I've been working a lot with Steve, the right hand person in there. Give you guys a background so like you guys can see a full circle. Warren is definitely right as far as what the capabilities of your whatever PMS you're using currently. So you guys have a idea. We're using Tenant Inc., Hummingbird, Mariposa, and one of my BHAGs for your way is a setup value pricing. I've started to implement it, but it's a whole different, it's with every software, there's the nuances with it. So in order to utilize Veritech with Hummingbird, we're kind of one of the first ones to be really doing that. So on my end, I've set up a meeting with our customer service representative and Steve to go ahead and go through and see what the capabilities we can do. Because I've seen other Hummingbird or other Mariposa websites that have the capabilities of doing it. It is a lot of front end work, but just like you guys said, once you do the work, it's set, it's ready to go, and that's my goal. My huge thing, my big hairy audacious goal for the first quarter is really to get value pricing set in place for our company, for our forward facilities. So
Steve, I'm going to put you on the spot next. Being actually your center square for me. So marketing, sorry, Anthony, you have more?
Well, that's one question I had too, is like what I want to relate to this. And one of the questions that I started effective as of yesterday with our staff and our team is, and get everybody's kind of opinion. We have, we're in lease up on a couple of facilities, on 2 of our bigger facilities, is requiring, the auto pay and the tenant protection in order to get those promotions, because they are 2 months, 50% off, or even at our location out in Idaho, we have, like 100 and some, almost 100 or 79, like 10 by 10, 10 by 15s. And so that's why I told my team we're going to experiment with that and see how that goes in order for somebody to be able to get those promotions.
Okay, question for you, Anthony. I'm gonna play devil's advocate back at you. I'm gonna sign up for protection plan and the auto pay to get whatever you're doing, right? What happens a month later? I cancel both of them.
Then we're watching it. It's an operational headache, but we are watching them, and we have the agreement in there that if you come off of it, that we have the right to remove those promotions.
Right. One thing we did, and Warren, back when we first started with you guys, we realized the best way to get, really do the value pricing, get things moving, was to tie the manager's bonus program to the upgraded units. Because 90% of the managers out there always try to sell the cheapest unit because that's what they think the customer wants, the cheapest unit. And by us doing the upgrades on the protection plans and upgrades on the value price units and tying that into the bonus program, I can tell you in the month of December, we added $914 to our bonus program because of value pricing rentals in December. And I'll do that every month because I think it's adds value.
Yeah, we've seen, again, some companies have a philosophy, they don't want to do any kind of incentive. Some are more willing to do it. So it's we say it's up to the company. We have definitely seen it have an impact for a lot of companies. In fact, one of my favorite stories is I was working with a 20-store portfolio. And at about 18 of their stores, their upgrade rates were in the low to mid 30%. And 2 of their stores, their upgrade rate was in the teens. And I called the owner and said, is there something about those stores? Are we having the wrong margins? Let's take a look at this together. And he said, I know exactly what the issue is. He said, I know the store managers at those 2 stores, they don't really care about this. So we brainstormed a few things, and he decided, all right, you know what? He's going to put in an incentive program. And I kid you not, within 2 weeks, the upgrade rate at those stores had doubled to the mid 30s. So it was just there for the taking if they wanted to do it. Some of the other stores, maybe they nudged up a little bit, but again, for that operator, he found it well worth, even if he didn't really need the incentive program for 18 of the 20 stores, it was well worth doing it, and it shared the benefits, and it did well with morale, and it also helped the store managers kind of have a stronger understanding of how important they are to the success of the company. And I will tell you, we've worked in many, many industries. And if an individual at a company can feel that they are doing something that helps the company succeed revenue-wise, they feel great about it. They feel more committed to the company. And we've seen this time and time again across many industries, that it doesn't matter where in the company the person is situated. If they're having a material impact on revenue and it's recognized, it's a big positive for the company.
And Frank has a question about how do you actually track the upgrades? And obviously you're the tracking master there, Jim. So
Well, again, we use a program called District Manager that integrates with our cycling PMS. But the way, and that's one way, but also in Veritech alone, Veritech has their monthly reporting that tells you every rental, and they actually added a column that I asked for that tells you what the update was that one. So right in Warren's system, you can tell how many upgrades you had each month and whether it was good, better, best, which was the standard, deluxe, best value move-in. So there are ways to do that in the District Manager and also in Veritech systems. So, but I want to get back to my question I had for Eva. Eva, from a marketing perspective, truly marketing background, from customer perspective, when a customer comes onto a website and they see they have more options for a unit size and they can pick which one fits their needs better, how do you think that relates to success rates for closing percentages on the marketing side of the coin?
Well, I was part of a software on the back end where they had the good, better, best pricing. And I was able to get a lot of A/B testing materials for marketing specifically through that. And one of the things that we noticed was it was pretty much always the center, middle, or highest price point that was being picked. The lowest price point was always pretty much ignored because people don't want to be viewed as cheap, or they don't want to be in the cheapest units. So they will generally go with that center one, even if it's only a few dollars. If it's $10, they'll generally go with that center one. And I have noticed also having it highlighted, it really changes the outcome of it. That we've had situations where we had the center one highlighted versus the top one highlighted. And the top one was actually picked more often when it was highlighted than the ones that were when it was in this, the center. So if you highlight it, you are going to get that one picked a little bit more often. So I do suggest that if you guys have a good variance between your units, if you have a good discrepancy of what those items are that you're listing, like your specials that you have for that specific unit, if they're able to list specials, where it's located, all of those different things, so that they can understand why they're paying that price point, they'll generally pick the better price point. I know I've had conversations with people just in general, like with the managers at some of the properties, and asked them why it is that they think that people were picking the lower ones. As people had no idea that they were getting a unit that was, down the street, around the corner, and down a couple of different halls, up an elevator. And if they were given the option up front, they would have chosen a better unit.
Yeah. Do we have any of our call center people on here? Is Shannon or no? I don't see them on here.
I don't
I
see
was
him
going
on.
to ask the call center people, how they sell the units, the good, better, best when the people come in on the call center versus just, you know, online. So, but no, I think, I mean, you know, Garrett, are you guys utilizing any type of value pricing where you're at? I know you're high into
Yes.
tech as well.
Yes, we are utilizing value-added pricing. Started it at lease up specifically. Didn't wait. Put it up there on lease up. And what I can tell you is immediately already see where customers who are going in and either making reservations or even inquiring will ask a question about it. They'll either make the reservation or they will either flat out inquire and ask what the difference is, and we'll direct them to the site and specifically walk them through. And of course, I'm seeing a higher volume of people picking not budget, picking a standard or better value or even premium than picking the lower end. So there is definitely an increase from a revenue perspective that we're specifically seeing. And I would say that customers are more in line to pick what's in the middle more than they pick on the ends. They almost always catch to the middle because inherently, if you think about it from a psychological perspective, it's like buying whatever product that you're researching. You probably don't want to buy the lowest end because you're like, it may not hold up, but maybe I can't. The highest is a little bit more, and I want to spend this one right in the middle. So I will definitely tell you, having used this over the course of time, and then more recently starting a lease up, we have already seen a demand and a drive for that.
Yeah. Garrett, I actually saw it. I did a consulting job in California in November already. We walked in, they had a climate control building, and everything by the doors was all rented. I'm like, yeah, everyone wants to be here. I said, kind of closer. I said, if you drop a value pricing program on that property, those units become more valuable, so you can get more money for them. And I talked to a client up in New Hampshire that was opening a brand new building. I said, look, put the value pricing in first before you open the doors. That way, when people want to be closer to the doors, they're going to pay more. And Warren, I don't know for you, I mean, I don't know if you can share or not, but across your platform, you know, what do you see the percentage of upgrades being globally for you guys?
So in a lease up store situation, we often see anywhere from 45 to 60% of the people choosing the upgraded units. It's a much higher percentage because the difference between the convenient and the least convenient are big, which also means that if you're in a lease up store, you have the ability to price your least convenient units, I'll call it below market, but your more convenient units are at or even above market. So the folks who are most price sensitive, you know, this helps you balance that age-old conundrum of when I open a store, do I strive for rate or do I strive for occupancy and then try to build it up rate? This ability of value pricing allows you to kind of do both at the same time. So you can build up occupancy, but not sacrifice complete rate because your folks that are moving into the good units are paying for it. And it's going to be too much for today. And I'm going to have to drop off in a few minutes, Jim&Jim. But we also are beginning to do research which suggests that people in the most convenient units are willing and able to pay more over time, which means that you can be more aggressive with your rent increases for the folks that are in the most convenient unit. And I'll just put that as a teaser out there. That might be something that we can talk about at another session at some point, but we're seeing some companies really take advantage of that. It's relatively new because not a lot of companies have even had the data to know which units are more convenient, but now they're beginning to kind of pay attention to that. And so it's a new area that I think is going to be even more and more important.
Warren, I appreciate your time hopping on here. I had a question for Deanie and Jennifer. I see Deanie's a lot, but Jennifer, when you guys are at Rightmove and you're doing your third party, selling your third party product, and you guys have Deanie's back, Sunbird as well. When you guys, Deanie, you're using the value pricing at Sunbird, right? You have some kind of no?
Mm-mm.
Okay. I thought you guys were, but I think Jennifer, you guys are a right move, right?
What we're doing is we sell based on, well, we do value pricing. We sell based on value. So we're not doing like heavy discounts and promotions. So we're selling spaces at a 2 to 3 times higher rate, and then we lock tenants in for 365 days. And so we're being fully transparent and selling on a value proposition. And what we did is we incented our facility managers and ran a big promotion, or not promotion, but contest last quarter. And one of our stores got over 75 5-star reviews through the quarter and won the contest. And so that's probably a podcast we'll be doing on how they achieve that, but that will help us garner more rentals. It improves SEO, and we're really putting a big push on our social media marketing.
I guess the question I had for you, Deanie, using programs such as this, Warren, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Using
Warren.
programs like this for you guys selling your third, or offering your third party platform for you guys and Rightmove and anybody else who's doing third party on here. The added benefit of being able to layer on some of these added incentives has to be eye-opening for owners that, hey, if you come to me and we're doing value pricing, we're doing ABC, and anybody who's doing that has got to add more value to your platform that says, hey, just by coming to us, we're going to have this next level of stuff we can do for you. And Jennifer, you guys are doing with the Storage Defender, you got that extra revenue things. Having those value price things definitely is a great process. So,
Yes.
Jim, you're doing value pricing out your way, right?
Yeah, well, that's kind of go back to what we said earlier about changing property management software and what a pain in the butt that is. Yeah, I'm right in the middle of doing that. And so I'm changing that over. The new software, it's actually Cubby that I'm switching over to, has that kind of built in. And so I'm setting that up at the same time, literally like right now with the value pricing and the grouping. Because like you said before, it's a lot of heavy lifting to get it set up correctly. It just is.
Once you get it set, though, the rewards are well worth it.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. So I'm right in the middle of doing that right now. But I'm gonna go back to Deanie for a minute. If I put you on the spot, Deanie says, so we started this conversation off with just talking about, as we always do, of competing with the REITs, and it's a race to the bottom on the specials and just to get them in the door and all that kind of stuff. I know Sunbird, you guys, you drew a line in the sand. Or like you're not playing that game.
Yeah, that's right. And we're actually getting a lot of customers coming over from our competitors because of a number of reasons. We have high security, we keep the facility spotless. Our facility managers offer best-in-class service. And so like in December, I was super impressed. We give our owners a nightly report of what's happening at their facility. And I was reading on the report, and our managers wrote that they were handwriting thank you notes to customers who had brought them in gifts, and they were handwriting birthday cards. And I thought, who does that anymore? What business? Like, I'm lucky to get like a text from a business going happy birthday, right? And they're handwriting birthday cards. So we offer a best-in-class service, and we have people coming over because we have climate control, like I said, high security, clean, and they'll pay more for that. And so
just like I'm just putting myself in the customer's shoes. I'm online, I'm looking at different options. How are you conveying that to new customers?
Yeah, we're doing a great job through social media. Storage Leads, our website, they have great SEO. And then when they come in or call, our facility managers are doing a great job communicating that. So 60% of renters are women. And I know, being a woman, I'm very concerned about safety and security and cleanliness, and I will pay higher. It's like going to Walmart versus Target. Right. And I just moved back from Redding, California. The Walmart was very sketch. It had a lot lower prices, but there's things happening in the parking lot. I'm like, I don't feel safe here. I went to Target, and I will pay more for Target because I felt safe. There's wider aisles. It's more clean. And yeah, I didn't feel like my security was in jeopardy. So I'm just saying people are willing, especially women, to pay a higher price to feel safe and secure.
Yeah,
And you're
even to
able to
that point, I was
Go
gonna
ahead.
say, Deanie, I live in an area where I'm like surrounded by probably 4 different Targets. The Target that is the furthest from me is the one that I will go to specifically because it is in the nicest area. The parking lot is better lit and a bunch of other little tiny features. But yeah, I will drive out of my way to, go to the nicer Target specifically, than going to any of the ones that are closer to me. So just to that point as well, even the same brand.
Even
And,
I
and
had
you're able
one
to
a couple
you're
years.
able to convey that online when people get to the website. You're able to convey that easy enough to.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
yeah,
All right.
absolutely. And then we're also our facility managers, when they have downtime, they're welcome to do social media. So we empower them and it helps them to create. We're going to be doing training programs for them, and they really like that added skill set that they're learning. But our website and our pricing, we keep it very simple. Jason Coonan, my CEO, he's very big on keeping things straightforward and simple. And, I had mentioned before to him about, well, some different facilities charge more depending on whether it's near a door or elevator or which floor, and all these various like complex pricing strategies. And he goes, no, we're going to make it very straightforward, very easy for people. And he has an extensive finance background, and I trust him. He has good instincts, and he's doing great things. He's growing our company exponentially. And so it's fun to learn from him.
And I remember when I talked to him. Oh my gosh, it's probably been like 2 or 3 years ago. When they just started getting some sites here in the U.S. because they're Canadian based, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
I talked to him on the podcast a long time ago. But I remember him saying something about, again, they just like, we will not do like a rate increases. It's for like 1 year
Mhm.
block kind
Yeah.
of guarantee.
5 days, yeah.
Yeah. So that's a good thing to be able to promote that. I would assume you put that on the website at least to promote that kind of a special. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And so we're very big on, like I said, transparency, honesty, integrity, treating people right, going above and beyond to help tenants, handwrite notes to them. And it's really helping to grow the company. Word of mouth marketing is your least expensive, most effective. And coming from a marketing background, I agree with everything Eva said about the value pricing, is that most people will buy the middle ground. They don't want to be seen as being extravagant or overspending, especially as women. We want to be seen as being prudent, but we also don't want the cheapest. And so that's a long-standing marketing factor, and it's known that the middle one will be your most popular.
that's cool. I got a question for everybody. Again, I always use this like you're my focus group when I have questions and stuff like that. So speaking of value and trying to build value in your units, I've never used this company before. Just want to see if anyone else has used them because I'm just trying to think of like add-on products that I could offer. Has anyone used a Storage Defender at all at their locations?
Seen it. Right Move is using it extensively out there. Darren Kelly's Right Move property is using them. They've done well with it. I think it's easier to add on to a newer property than try to retrofit existing properties, depending on how you're
Yeah,
doing
well,
it.
that's
But
exactly where I'm at. I'm at that
there's a lot
crossroads.
of value in it. I know. I
It's
know
it's
he's
it,
come on.
honestly, what it is a way to, if you have an old property that was not built with high security, which many old properties aren't, it's a way to add that element without having to buy unit alarms and all that kind of stuff. Um, and certainly in urban areas where security, as was mentioned earlier, is a really, really big deal. It'll work.
Yeah.
In certainly rural areas, maybe even tertiary markets, um, maybe not as much because it is potentially a $12 to $15 add-on to their rate.
Yeah.
Well, I know some people, Jim, some people have done that where they'll bundle things and the value price unit comes with the upgrade.
Well, that's exactly what I was kind of playing in my
Yeah.
head.
I
So,
believe that's what we do at Right Move.
I think so. Yeah, I think Darren's
We
got the
bundle it
upgrade.
to
Yeah.
the units that have it. If it was already an existing facility and we're getting Storage Defender trying to get it into every unit, we bundle it. They don't have they it's a bundle price for it.
Yeah.
But Darren
There's a lot-
is, a
lot
big
of
goal
value
for
to it.
Darren is to get it in every unit in every property we have. That's how passionate he is about it.
Darren's a smart guy. I mean, I've known Darren a long time, and it's interesting. And Frank, are you using the Defender yours? I know you're on storage, right? Are you using Defender anywhere?
We tested it. We're not using it exclusively. We tested it. And it's like anything, it's how it's sold. We did attach it to upgraded units, as was discussed earlier. We did bundle it, as was discussed earlier. It is something that, it worked. People enjoyed it. People liked it. And I think the technology is getting better. It's a little, it can be, it's funny because coming from an operator where we had individual door alarms, it's not that, but it is better security than nothing. And it's interesting how it can operate.
Right.
It comes down to, like everything, all these, it's expensive to get into as an operator. In our world, we're third-party managers. I mean, we have two choices: either buy them ourselves, and when we lose the contract, we take the security back out of the unit, out of the building. See you later. You don't get these; they're ours. Or convince the owner to upgrade them. We've had success in urban areas.
Right.
Garrett,
Frank, while you're
raised
here,
it.
I want to ask you how Swivel's going.
Swivel's excellent. If you're not using swivel, you're missing the boat.
Mhm.
That's come a long way. I've been watching and talking to those guys, and it's really it's come so far in a short time. I guess with all the AI stuff going around, everything's
I
kind
tell you right now, best part about swivel, okay, and this is there's a break in this industry where you have the traditional old guard platforms like Go Local, which we use, and they're a great platform, but they are not software as a service, or they may think they are, but they're not. But swivel is, Cubby is, who Jim said he's using, and various other companies that are some tenant protection, which means they're continuing to upgrade in all areas, and you get it. So I don't have to ask for it. I don't have to pay extra for it. And so Swivel started out as one company, and they continue to offer new things. Some of the stuff we care about and some of it we don't, but we get it all.
interesting.
Frank, question for you with Swivel. What do you think your average cost per interaction? What do you think that average cost comes out to be per interaction? Because when you look at the cost of Swivel up in its upfront pricing, if you have a one or two facilities, it can be relatively high, relatively expensive, depending on how you budget it. But what do you think you either save or gain if you had to just put a number on it? Just curious.
Well, we get at least, beyond all the customer service, just the chat situation, beyond all of the other customer service things, meaning that these guys handle, for us, it's in the hundreds of inquiries a month that they handle. Okay, so they're 85% of them, they're satisfying, which means we do not have it upgraded. We are going to experiment in 2025 with turning the live chat on. We have not done that because we have an internal call center where we could have an agent sitting there chatting. But we also get, probably across our portfolio right now, between 5 and 15 rentals. Those numbers are bigger on some months, but this is an average. We'll call it 10 to 15 rentals per month directly from the chat. So that's a rental where educating the customer through the chat drove them to rent from us. It's an intermediate step between having them talk to my people versus not talk to anybody. And it's working out. The third part, in the marketing people know this, is that there's an SEO bump we get from it. We're across, I don't know, I think we're at 12 states right now, and we have 52 locations, 55 locations, and we're average ranking in the top 3 spots and top 2 spots in most of them. And we've done an analysis on what this chat does, and just having it connected in all the long language models that they use, and that includes with answering reviews, et cetera, et cetera. So that bump also makes it worth it.
Frank, can you contrast the just to ask this question? Can you contrast what you see between, since you mentioned you have an in-house call center, versus Swivel and the chat itself, just for curiosity. For instance, you mentioned you get 10 or 15 rentals. How does that compare to what your in-house call center is generating?
Well, 25% of my rentals are done over the phone by my in-house call center.
That's about right.
50% of our rentals are done online, which this would be a part of.
Mm-hmm.
So that leaves the other 25% that my people are doing, stumbling and bumbling through their conversation and showing people that show up online or show up at the property, because we have several man properties, several remote properties. We're a mix. So my call center, my people are trained to close you over the phone. They don't push you to the net. They don't. So they don't. While you're here with me, at the end of this conversation, you'll be a customer, type of deal.
Frank, 2024, we had 81.4% of my rentals were digital, whether a rental completion link or our website.
Yeah, I mean that's awesome. Those are the kind of numbers I just said to our marketing department. One lady, I said to Brittany, like, we're at 50%. What is the number? What's the right number? Is 50% good? Is it bad? I don't know. Is it what should it be? What could it be? Is it because our website is not as organized? Is it because we ask for too much information? Is it because, well, I don't know. Those are the kind of, you're getting 81%. I mean, you're in an all hub and spoke situation. You have very little man properties. We have a lot of man
I
properties.
have 4 manned. So
Yeah,
realistic
so
ranking 2024, 3675 rentals, 928 true website rentals. That's 23%. 2070, we're using the rental completion link through the software. So 2,998 of my 3,600 rentals were done electronically.
mhm. Yeah,
'Cause we don't, and we're the opposite, Frank. We don't do any phone rentals.
yeah. Well, I mean, I understand there is the element of, let me tee you up and then let me go ahead and send you this link and you can complete the rental. I have to follow up if you didn't. You fell in a hole, had dinner, your kid said something, whatever. So this step is, I'm going to go ahead and close you so you don't have to worry. I don't have to worry about following up with you. Now, look, it doesn't always work. Obviously, there's sometimes they do follow up and we have to push the rental off to the manager or whatever. So it's a combination of those things. I don't know if we would, as a rule, push everything to the internet. We'd probably have higher numbers, but our internal guys would close less. I don't know. I'm sure.
The question for you, the devil's advocate, how many of the people that you're doing the phone rentals, how many of them are you now chasing down for signatures?
Well, that's one of the again, problems with Store Edge, which is a horrible product in many ways. And that is that what kicks off the lease paperwork in their process, and this is with Go Local and the full funnel process, is them paying. So they pay and then you kick them the paperwork. So if they don't sign the paperwork because they're already in, they feel like they've paid and they're in. So we do have to do that. And the only way to avoid that, but it's not many, but it does happen. The only way to avoid that is to back away from the Go Local funnel integration, which we don't want to do, and stick with Store Edge, where it's the opposite way.
Well, I've heard the storage website rentals are horrible.
It's just, it looks like a platform that was built, oh, by the way, it was in 2010, and it hasn't changed. So they still want your shoe size and everything else for you to rent. So we want to change that, because we don't want to be the 30-second rental guys necessarily. The 10 Federal is. We'd like a few more pieces of information, but not many more.
Yeah.
So we're in the process of figuring out how to do it. And that's one of the real drawbacks of old John Jordan's product, is that, you can get all kind of upgrades if you ask, but I say to him all the time, like, Jim asks more questions than I do. What if he asks for something really cool and I want it? Do I have to just ask Jim every day? Why don't you just give me whatever he asks for? This is the baloney I go through.
You just tell them. And Frank, I can tell you honestly that when I do talk to those guys, and I know that you're on there and Darren Kelly's on there and Kurt's on there, we just did the protection plan one where it follows the recommended levels, right? So the recommended one follows by the size of the unit. And I said, make sure that the other guys get this. And I know Kurt got it, and I could have sworn Darren got it. I'm not sure. I have to check with him, but that's the one thing. Keep, you know, for all of us, Jim, you know it. That's why we do these things. Keeping the vendors honest and hold them all accountable. And make sure we're all on the same page.
Yeah, I have no problem calling people out. So yeah, that's what we do. Plus, well, I shouldn't say call people out. We're just having the discussions, and that's how we're all learning and finding out. Ooh, that sounds cool. I want that, and my software doesn't have that. Kind of help push them, frankly.
Well, and there's things that, yeah, I know there's things people are doing. There's things 10 friends were doing that I don't want. And there's things in this one that, you know what, maybe it works, but it's not what I want. So, you know, we're all unique. We're all different. We all want things together. But you know, it's when you can start seeing pieces of puzzle, like, you know, and you have the marketing gurus like Eva on here that, you know, you can, hey Eva, what do you think? And she gives you an honest answer, and we go, you know. And then I call Frank about something. We talk about something else, or Jim, you and I have a conversation. We all communicate. Anthony said it the other day on one of the calls that, you know, we learn from each other so much that, and that's why I really asked Warren to be on this call this week, just to kind of give everybody a little taste of what value pricing can do for people. And look, it might not work for people. Some people might not want it, but if you can see that there's an opportunity out there that's working for people, and like I said, 40%, you know, almost 40% of my online rentals last month were upgraded. I just looked, I've had 15 rentals so far this month, right? 7 of the 15 are upgraded rentals.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll say this real quick and then I'll whatever, because I'm sure you guys are wrapping this thing up. I said this before where some of these companies are software as a service. Well, you're looking at vendors these days. You really have to talk to these guys about innovation. And they've got to be able to innovate on their, like, I'm running properties, I'm running this and I'm running that, and I'd love to come up with new ideas. And we do a lot in forums like this and other places, but it's their job to come up with the ideas. They're the innovative platform. And if they're not innovating on my behalf, by the way, since I'm a customer, that means I got to innovate them. And I'd really rather help and contribute, but them be the innovators. And there are organizations like it. I love Veritech. We use Veritech and it's fine, but Cubby's got it built in. And if these other guys don't do that, or Veritech doesn't figure out how to get it, I don't know how nobody's going to, you know, absorb that program. They can't even integrate with everybody right now correctly, fully. But that's an example of a product that's innovating, and you're going to be ahead of the curve, assuming that you know, get that product going and get it upgrade, you know, get it installed and understand it and learn it. They're going to keep moving. So that's what we all have to keep in mind when we're meeting and talking to these vendors: is what kind of innovations are you doing? Not ones I have to ask for, but that you are doing without my help.
I mean, that's why I switched, frankly, jumping over to Cubby, because I talked to him 2 years ago, and I was like, "You're nowhere close." Like, no. But I saw the plan,
Yeah.
and they're there.
I don't know how user friendly, and I'm you know, one thing I'll say about Site, right? This is why we picked Site like a million years ago
Yeah.
over Center Shift and others, because it's very manager friendly. It's like a, you know, working at McDonald's. I've never worked there, but I guarantee that I could sell a cheeseburger. It's just
Figure
that
it
easy.
out.
And that's exactly what. Now I don't know if, you know, the fonts and the icons and everything are as easy with Cubby. I'm not sure, but there's no question that the tech built into it is way ahead of what some of these other guys are doing.
Yep.
In
And then
my
that's
opinion.
really what it boiled down to. It may not be the prettiest, but the functionality and just knowing what is built in it now and what they plan on doing, what was enough for me. So that's why I made the switch. Hey, I know we got a few more minutes, but I want to throw one more thing at you guys. Again, you're my focus group. I was playing with this last week. One thing with Google Business Profiles, I'm always trying to optimize it and playing with those things. And I've been terrible about it. And I know other people don't do many videos on their Google Business Profiles. They add photos, but not videos. So I created this. And those of you that know me, well, Deanie especially, know I love the AI stuff. So I created this. I just want to get your feedback. It's a 25-second video, because on Google Business Profiles, it can only be 30 seconds long. So just want to get your initial thoughts on it. Let me share this real quick. Where is that? There you go.
Looking for secure, convenient, and affordable storage? We've got the storage space you need. Choose from a variety of unit sizes. Security you can count on because your peace of mind matters. Rent your unit online in minutes, no hassle, no paperwork. We're here to make storage simple. Your space is waiting. Click the rent button and make it yours.
So short, to the point kind of a thing, but I don't know. I thought it'd be something kind of fun for people that don't have the, want to get in front of a camera kind of a thing and doing videos or have the budget to create high produced kind of videos. So I don't know. Throw it together. I was just curious what your any thoughts.
The lady in
If
the
you can make a
opening
mouse,
seat
it'd be
was
better.
creepy.
Yeah, well, it's definitely AI for sure. So I gotta tweak it. I did that in about 45 minutes. So yeah, throwing it together. But yeah, I'll definitely kind of polish it when it comes to. And then the reason I'm bringing it up, I want to make it available to people. I want to, cool, here you go. I want to download it. Cool, use it. That's why I made it very generic.
I liked it. I just thought if you're able to do the voiceover yourself or have somebody real do it, it sounded very robotic, and sometimes that can come across inauthentic and create a disconnection with the customer. So that's what I would recommend. Make it a little bit more a little bit more connecting with the customer.
As far as the voice goes, a little better. Got it. Yep, cool. Any other feedback?
You just got one in the chat, Jim. Use 11 Labs for voice, and that would sharpen it up.
Yep, and that's what I did use was 11 Labs. But again, I didn't take the time to tweak it. There's literally the first round. Not good enough. Threw it together just to see. If I spent another 20 minutes and tweaked it and played with different levels, it'd be different. So,
Yeah.
All right, cool. That's what we'll do.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for everyone for joining us here. We're almost up to our year anniversary. It's almost our anniversary, Jim. I think next month will be a year. So
These are
Good
too
fun.
It's been a
short.
fun, it's been a fun ride.
They're too short. We could be on here all afternoon.
we could, but then at the same time, it's like, yes, we all have lives. We have work to do. At least I got work to do.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I thought about doing it every week. Like, so we'll
Yeah.
probably do it every
Every
other
week's
week
a little,
for the
and we've
hour.
only missed,
I like
we've
it.
missed what, 1 or 2, Jim, in a year?
2. Yep. Not too bad. Not too bad. So appreciate it, guys. I'm gonna put this in chat just in case you guys want to know. I'm putting all this in. We've talked about it before doing the Facebook groups. I've had one forever. Just honestly haven't done a whole hell of a lot to optimize it. But we already have like 4,000 people in there. I didn't want to start from scratch. So all recordings for this kind of stuff, I'm just gonna throw in there for everybody. So if you ever miss one, cool. I just put it in
Yeah.
chat so you can go on
I
there.
did see that you got it scheduled out now. It's kind of cool. So that way it's going to pop up and remind people. So yeah.
Yeah, I figured rather than starting from scratch and starting a whole new one, like I'll just use what I already have. We'll throw it in there and just add to it. So got that coming. Got some other marketing things coming here very shortly. I'll throw in there as well. So that's gonna be
Deanie
kind
just
of
put a
that's gonna
plug
be
in there
the
for
album.
SSH Spring.
What's that?
Deanie just put a plug in for SSH Spring. Early bird discount ends today. So looking forward to seeing people in Florida.
Orlando, right?
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, again, thanks so much, guys, for taking the time and doing this. We'll see you here
Bye,
in a couple
guys.
weeks.